Welcome back to the Shred the Spread podcast. This is our week 14 best bets episode where each and every week you guys tune in and get our 5 best bets against the spread. We've got dogs, we've got favorites, we've got big point spreads, we got low point spreads. We've got it all in this episode. We are coming off of a 4-1 week above 500 in the contest like we said we were going to do all year long. We've got the home stretch left for us for this NFL season. I can't believe it's already week 14. Before we dive in to this week's slate, let me bring on my co-host, my right-hand man, my dude. Now, what's going on, man? Thanks for holding it down on Thursday.
Oh boy, you already know I got your back, baby. You held me down on Thanksgiving week. Like I said, I had to travel away to Charlotte. It was a lot of fun. I was glad we were able to enjoy it with family. But it's good to have you back, motherfucker. I haven't talked to you in 2 weeks. We're back at it again finally. Mano y mano. And let's talk about the fact that Matt Eberflus is finally fucking going. Like I said, I haven't talked about my dungeon this
Foreshadowing.
year. Huh?
A little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah, a little bit. But just him being gone. Like I said, I'm so happy for it. I'm so happy for the Bears and his organization. Like I said, history repeats itself. They're doing the same thing. That's neither here nor there. Let's get into what we got going on this week, man.
Yeah, we've got 5 really interesting games, a lot of good spots. Some of these spots you guys may be surprised, and on the other hand, you guys may not be so shocked. But we've got a couple good spots we're going to dig into. We're not going to dilly-dally anymore. Dino, let's dig right into it.
Let's go.
Leading us off, we've got an emotional spot. A lot of people are going to be on the other side of this, I suspect. We've got the Vikings with a Kirk Cousins homecoming. The Minnesota Vikings -4.5 at home against the Atlanta Falcons. I know what a lot of people are saying, and it's a Vikings team where they blitz a lot, they rely on their defensive line, they play basically keep everything in front of them, limit explosive plays, and teams can move the ball on them. But there's one thing that keeps me kind of standing tall in this stand, and it's the fact that Kirk Cousins kind of looks immobile this year, and he's been banged up. And the one thing that I can say over the last few weeks is Sam Darnold started off as one of the hottest quarterbacks in the league, cooled off like ridiculous. And now, if you've noticed, the Vikings have quietly been creeping up in these standings, in these statistics, whether it's yards per play again. Sam Darnold was
Mhm.
leading with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison up there, yards per play. They get a couple of weapons back. TJ Hawkinson comes back. The team's getting healthier. They're trending in the right direction. And all of a sudden, you see the Vikings kind of plummet. They fall off a cliff. They have some couple really ugly games, sneak out a couple wins. They had a thriller versus the Packers. But now you see the Vikings they came down to earth, and over the last few weeks, they've been trending in the right direction again. The Falcons, I can't necessarily say the same. They're a team that's been really wishy-washy, lacking consistency, and they're kind of on the verge of not potentially just losing the division, but maybe even missing the playoffs. They're -120 to make the playoffs right now, and that kind of says a lot from the hot start they had. They're cooling off a little bit, and I think this is a really good spot to back this Vikings team. Two teams kind of trending in the opposite direction. You've got the emotional itch on Kirk Cousins' side, and now he has to go back into Minnesota, where he left to go play for another team. He wanted a bunch of money. He wanted to move his family, want to go to his family with his family to Atlanta, and now he's got to walk back into the dome where the Vikings play and try to go against this team that is going to blitz the piss out of him. Well, I've got news for Kirk Cousins. I think this one ends ugly. I've got this number at 6. We're getting it at 4.5 in the contest. I truly think that Aaron Jones is going to really maintain the tempo in this game. I think he has a really good game. And then all it's going to take is Sam Darnold to connect a few times with Justin Jefferson. And I think this Vikings defense is really going to slow the Falcons down. I
Mhm.
think Bijan is going to struggle to get going. Kyle Pitts, he's kind of been like hit or miss regardless. And then Drake London, he's been a big receptions guy, but over the past few weeks, you can see his yardage lower and lower and lower. So teams are really keying in on these Atlanta Falcons threats, and they're forcing everybody else to beat them. So, Donnell, Vikings -4.5.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. And I agree with you. And I find it kind of fitting how Kirk Cousins like did the swag surf out in Atlanta. Well, I mean, that didn't last too goddamn long. He's in fact his whole career has been swag surf. He's swag here in Washington, then he surfed his ass to Minnesota. The same way he swagged in Minnesota, he surfed his ass to Atlanta. Okay, so we know what Kirk Cousins is. In the big games where it matters most, he can't get it done. And as far as I'm concerned, like this, like you said, the Falcons have been trending in a wrong direction. Yeah, I will say so. They had under 18 points in the last 3 games offensively. That is, I mean, with how much you're paying Kirk Cousins and you expect him to kind of elevate this team, he has now become a hindrance. I mean, last week we had 3 or 4 interceptions last week. The Chargers had 10 first downs last week and won. That is ridiculous, and that just speaks to how bad Kirk Cousins played last week, how bad this offense has been as far as producing points the last few weeks. They're in a 3-game losing streak, and they're not going to get much help because the one way they can balance this out is running the ball with Bijan Robinson. Well, the Vikings only give up 3.8 yards per carry, which is 4th in the league. So we're going back to where okay, maybe Kirk Cousins isn't playing well. Let's go to our other streak with Bijan. Well, there is a answer for that as well, and with the Vikings bringing the pressure as they do, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Kirk Cousins in that play action is going to be able to come off. So definitely, we're definitely going to take the Vikings, especially at home as well. Only 4.5, and I can definitely see the Vikings dropping at least 27 to 30 points, and honestly, putting us away kind of quickly.
Yeah, and the biggest thing where I was saying was, like Ladd McConkey went off against the Falcons last week.
Right.
And, that's going to be really crucial to watch with this Justin Jefferson matchup because if you have Ladd McConkey that had 9 receptions at halftime and 100 yards, I mean, Justin Jefferson is such a larger threat. And like I said with the Drake London thing, he's been their number 1 target and he's gone under his reception or his receiving yards 4 of the last 6 games. So his expected output in this offense has really diminished because he was off to an incredibly hot start. Fantasy, top 5 quarterback, receptions were there, touchdowns were there, and he's slowly been really dwindled away from the focus of this offense. And I think that's where the Falcons are struggling right now. So we're going to trust the Vikings here. Let's spoil the homecoming for Kirk. Give us the Vikings -4.5 to lead us off. Donnell, second pick, take it away.
Second pick, we're going to go back at it again for the second time in the last 3 weeks. Browns +6.5 versus the Steelers as they're on the road. I'm going to give you kind of a personal opinion as far as I'm concerned when it comes to the Browns. I feel like the Browns are too dangerous of a team to be 6.5 point dogs. Either they're going to show up defensively or offensively. They seem to always kind of be within the game, especially with Jameis Winston being the quarterback of this team now. They just happen to have the Steelers' number. The Steelers, I can let you know right now, they're not going against the worst, probably the most historically bad defense in the league. Yes, you won a shootout last week, and I don't remember the last time the Steelers won a shootout, but of course it would happen against the worst defense in the league, and probably historically and ever. So they're going to get a little bit more stiffer competition, all right? We all know what Myles Garrett gets into. He had 3 sacks against Russell Wilson the previous time they played. I feel like it's just going to be too much of a grit and grind game. Honestly, I'm going to use the same definition I used 2 weeks ago. It's going to be a grit and grind game, okay? It's going to be a divisional matchup, and the Browns have their number, the Steelers' number anyway. I'm not going to bank away from it. Definitely going to take the Browns +6.5 here.
Yeah, we really don't even need to hit this on the head too much. This is a
Right.
system play. No matter what team in this division, we have to take the points here. 6.5, any team, whether it's the Steelers, the Browns, the Bengals, the Ravens, no matter who it is, if any of those teams are catching 6.5, 99.9% of the time we're going to be betting on them. Unless they're just missing a quarterback. But you see last week, okay? Jameis Winston has big play potential. When him and Jerry Jeudy are on the same page, they have big play potential. David Njoku in the red zone is a serious threat. They have this Browns team is one of the more physical teams in the division, okay? You have the Bears who are really like explosive and finesse. You have the Ravens are kind of in that same category, explosive and finesse. Their defense used to be really, really tough. Grit and grind, as Donnell says, and they've kind of eased up a little bit. You have two really, really physical teams left in this division, and it's the Steelers and the Browns. And I don't think people really give the Browns defense enough credit. And yes,
None. No.
I know last week they were in like a ridiculous shootout, and they let Bo Nix and Jameis Winston go at it, eye for eye, and that doesn't necessarily happen to this Browns defense a lot. I think they were really caught up in the moment, but you can see Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett really leading this defense, and they kind of have that composure, and we've seen it week after week, especially in divisional matchups. Myles Garrett wreaks havoc. He lives for these divisional matchups. He just plays different. So I believe Myles Garrett, he's going to have no problem getting back to Russell Wilson. Like, he is going to wreak havoc, and I don't expect it to stop. Like, the Browns, the Broncos game was really ugly, but in a disciplined team where they generally are, having two really bad defensive performances in a row, like, you kind of got to roll the dice with it. And again, a divisional matchup. We do this for almost every single division. If you're going to give us a large number and teams that know each other and the coaches know each other and the players know each other, most important, this is going to be a grit and grind game no matter who is on the field. Give us the Browns plus 6.5, divisional matchup. Stamp it. Another divisional matchup. Surprise, surprise. However, we are on the other side of everything I just spoke about. I know it's crazy to say, but
that's a good point.
You will hear me out. Give us the Dolphins minus 6.5 versus the Jets. This game is the polar opposite of those Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Steelers matchups. These are teams that literally have two different agendas. The Jets are like, let's get this damn season over with. And the Dolphins are ironically, let's get this season started. Like, the Dolphins have a path to the playoffs, believe it or not. Like, they seriously do. They have to be perfect. They have to have a couple pieces fall in play, but they have an opportunity. But it has to start with this game. The Dolphins, a team that's trending in the right direction. Tua, he's been taking care of the ball. I know we said on our Thanksgiving special that I believe Tua was really, when they went to Green Bay, I thought Tua was going to be like made fun of. I thought he was going to be embarrassed. Newsflash, guys, yeah, we covered the Packers, but that wasn't a classic ass whooping. Like, they were a knock on the door away from really making it a game. And luckily, the Packers had an awesome game and handled business, but Tua was not to be counted out. He actually held his own, didn't turn the ball over, which is really critical, especially on the road in the cold. Now they're playing the Jets, a defense that just has been subpar at best. Sauce Gardner, he might not even play, but I don't even think it matters because the guy doesn't, I don't know what happened to him, but that fall-off needs to be studied because that is a ridiculous 180 for his career. I don't know what happened. I don't know what was said to him. I don't know if he doesn't care. But I think that's the theme of this Jets team. They don't seem to care. Aaron Rodgers, his ego is getting the best of him right now. And you hear words like, we have nothing to prove. What do you want me to say? We're a good team. Like, it's deflecting. And when the team is deflecting, you don't have any camaraderie, and there is no coach. There is no motivator. There's no Dan Campbell in the locker room. It's just a guy that was thrown in there because they fired Saleh, and now it's just free-for-all. Do what the hell you want. Rodgers does what he wants. The defense do what they want. Nobody plays together. There is no camaraderie. And now you see today that Breece Hall is not expected to play. He's not definitely out, but he is expected to miss this game. Okay, well, there is about 50% of your target share, and he leads the whole division in receiving for running backs by a lot. He is a big part of that offense. And I hate to say this, Rodgers, but like without Breece Hall, you look lost. You look lost. So you take Breece Hall away, the number one playmaker for this Jets team, and you're relying on Devontae Adams to all of a sudden be on the same page as Aaron Rodgers, which he hasn't been since he's came over here. I mean, these guys look like they haven't played with each other before. I don't know, dude. I don't care what this number is. 6.5 is not big enough.
Absolutely not. The Jets are poop. It's about just keep it as simple as that. The Jets are absolutely garbage. One thing that kind of concerns me, and that's kind of, I never thought I'd be able to say this, but with Aaron Rodgers, they actually look kind of worse.
Yeah, I mean,
They look worse. Defensive, like, what's crazy? With Zach Wilson, at least the defense will play good. But I guess with Aaron Rodgers and the leadership and the way this culture has been going, it's as if he sucks so bad and everything is so bad, the defense is bad. And I don't understand, like you said, the Sauce thing got to be studied. The decline of this defense is I don't understand it. And they had a big lead last game, gave it up. Aaron Rodgers couldn't put up a point in the second half. And they gave up a big interception late. Like, it's the same story each and every week. I think it's about time the podcast kind of takes advantage of the Jets. Knock on wood, hopefully we do, and I believe we do. And the Jets are 0-3 as underdogs. They haven't covered it as an underdog all year this year. Like I said, no Breece Hall. I mean, like you said, bro, offensively, without him, it's like, what do you got? What do you got? And I get it. Braylon Allen is a talented running back. He is not Breece Hall as far as a dual threat. And let's be real. The one thing I liked about the Dolphins is the Dolphins offense is starting to look like the Dolphins offense. Tua having 365 in the cold is unheard of. I was actually very, very surprised at that. I actually bet the under on one of my tickets and that sold. But he is really, like, the offense is starting to find its niche now. A-Chain has been big time. Maybe not last game because speed and cold don't mix. We say that every week and say that all the time and every time. But they're in Miami. A-Chain has been really good. Other than that last game last week, they might steamroll the Jets this week. This might actually be a divisional blowout, just because how bad the culture is with the Jets. It's a division game, but no division game is fixing when that in the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, we have it at 6.5 in the contest, but I am absolutely gonna love this at 5.5 on the books. You can find it on 5.5 on major books right now. So I go ahead and jump on that because I definitely feel like this can get back to 6 before close. And, like, what are we kidding, guys? You can get Jonnu Smith at plus 200 to get a goddamn touchdown. Like,
Come on now.
like,
Come on now.
do it, dude. I mean, death taxes and Jonnu Smith in the red zone gets targets. I mean, I've been riding it all year. I cannot believe that he's still priced that high. But I get it. There's so many playmakers. But I will say Tyreek Hill at plus 120. That's a joke. Don't touch that shit. But yeah. So give us the Dolphins. Big game. Big matchup. Another divisional game. Dolphins minus 6.5. Dino, I will let you take the fourth pick. This is the one that you convinced me on. I came around, and I'm not going to disagree. We were both on this. He's the one that made really good points, so I'll let you go ahead and take away. Fourth pick of the contest.
Yes, sir, guys. And this is another kind of system play. And, of course, we talked about Eberflus to start out, and I said thank God because guess what? I'm back in the Bears this week without that motherfucker. Plus 3.5 going against the 49ers. This is just as much as a fade the 49ers as this is going with the Bears as well. All right, it's a combo of both. The 49ers right now have no Trent Williams, no Jordan Mason, which is the backup running back behind McCaffrey, and you already know McCaffrey's out for the year. Possibly no Aaron Brooks, which is their left guard, along with the left tackle being out. I mean, Bosa not playing again. And I've said this and I banged on this all year long. That D-line is not as deep and talented as they were. And with Nick Bosa, they're a shell of themselves. They got the asses absolutely handed to them last week in the snow against Buffalo. Granted, like I said in the last episode, when it was once we said it was gonna snow, we knew the 49ers were not gonna come nowhere close to that game. All right. So they're coming off of a tough game on Sunday night, while the Bears have 10-day rest. They fired their coach. They have a new clean slate. The players have publicly came out and explain their disgust for Matt Eberflus and how we handle late game situations. So that's a weight off of their shoulders. Even with that being said, they've been in close games each and every time. Like I said, if the coach was a Matt Eberflus, you might be talking about a different game. Matt Eberflus is the equivalent to Stale Staley, and you see what you do when you put a good head coach with Justin Herbert instead of having Stale Staley there. It's a change. This is going to be one of those motivated type games. I feel like the Bears are going to be coming out gunning. I feel like they're willing to show what's coming up at stake. Maybe the head coach, maybe the interim coach might not be there next year, but with Matt Eberflus gone, I feel like there is an addition there with subtraction. And guys, like I said, man, the Bears have been mighty impressive. Keenan Allen has been very, very good. And like I said, I expect another classical Bears game. I actually got them winning this outright. I just feel like the 49ers are just out of it. At this point, they might as well just go ahead and just take their bumps on the road here.
Yeah, Dino made a really good point. I like your phrase of addition by subtraction. I think that's exactly what this is. So, I'm gonna be honest. I really wanted the reason why Dino kind of had to not necessarily talk me into it, but kind of give me the little push was I really wanted the 4. I will be honest. I
Yeah.
really wanted the 4
Hmm.
because I mean it doesn't sound like much, but 4 is just such a key number where I think there's going to be a lot of field goal opportunities. And, this difference is really going to be who can get the ball into the end zone when these teams get into, the 20 and in the red zone. So, but I will say this. I think this is an opportunity for the Bears to restart their season. They're playing for nothing now, but besides some momentum going into the offseason, like this is an opportunity for Caleb Williams to go out there and really give his guys like some trust. And like Keenan Allen, you saw it on Thanksgiving. The guy was eating. And DJ Moore is explosive receiver, Roma Dunze an explosive receiver, and you saw like the difference in these teams, I will say, one looks like they're just trying to figure it out as a team. The other one looks like they're dying. It looks like two teams, like one is learning to play together and the other one is figuring out like shit, like this may not work. Like you can kind of see the lifelessness in this
Yes.
Niners team. It's
Yeah.
very like it's almost a state of shock where like holy shit. Like as Dak said on the sideline, we fucking suck. The Niners are coming to the realization that wow, we're not as good. We're not as dominant. We're not as talented as we think we are. Like we are missing a lot of steps and they're injured. They're banged up, no fault of their own, but that's the fact of the matter. And this Bears team, the Niners consistently over the last few weeks have getting the shit kicked out of them. And if you really look at this Bears team, it's close one-score game in divisional matchups. Like, and I know we hit the drum on divisional matchups play tougher, but okay, these divisional matchups were the Vikings, the Packers, and the Lions, and they had an opportunity to win 2 of those 3 games.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah, man.
it just okay. We have a team that is just struggling to find the final piece, and we're getting the hook. We have a team, on the other hand, that just has pieces everywhere, and they really just kind of like throw them and hope they work out. I really think I agree with Dynel. I think the Bears pull this out this week. I mean, is this number going to matter? Probably not, and I'm hoping not. But if the Bears go out there and play like they've played the last 3 weeks, there's no doubt in my mind they can go out there and handle business. I don't care if it's Kyle Shanahan still coaching. Brock Purdy is a pumpkin without Christian McCaffrey. And the backup who was kind of keeping the ship afloat while McCaffrey was out, in Jordan Mason, he's also not there. So,
Right.
they really, they're going into this really like raw, and it's just kind of we hope our talent beats your talent, and you have the Bears who are kind of building that chemistry, and I expect that to persist, especially with no coach. The coach being gone, they're bringing in someone fresh, and it's really gonna be like, hey Caleb, what do you feel most comfortable doing? Okay, let's go do it. Like screw all the
Yeah.
other shit. Let's go do it. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze. It's time to eat. DeAndre Swift, hold it down on the ground. Roshan Johnson being out kind of sucks. I really like him as the goal line back, but maybe they'll get more creative. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of the tight end because this team's really been lacking some tight end work. Maybe Cole Kmet finally gets going because he's had a really slow start to the season. But I like the Bears, Dino. I agree with you. Thanks for talking me into it. Bears plus 3.5. Now we got the caboose,
Kaboo.
the man to bring us home. Boy, oh boy, does it feel weird saying this. We've got the Chiefs minus 4.5 against the Chargers. And we really don't need to hit on this too much. I know I keep saying that and keep going in depth, but this is very simple for me. J.K. Dobbins not being there,
Yes.
the
Thank you.
Chargers' offensive identity is basically really heavy volume targets for Lad McConkey. But with that being said, Lad McConkey has been banged up all week. He's questionable to play this week. I can't even sit here and say I expect him to play because I mean it's truly 50-50. He got a little bit back. He actually left the game last week, in that really nail biter versus the Falcons. So he hasn't really been practicing, and he's been their number one threat as of late. So the one thing I will say, and we've got to stick to our roots in here, is we know Patrick Mahomes dominates that division. We know he does. And we've kind of seen in the media and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, they've said, yes, these, and even Chris Jones, I mean, he said it after the Raiders win. Listen, I'd rather win ugly than lose pretty. And that's the truth. But you can see the Chiefs are starting to hear the noise about them being lucky, them barely winning, them squeaking by versus teams they should be destroying. I mean, the Chiefs won last week and dropped 2 spots in Super Bowl odds. Like, when the hell does that happen? I think the media, the public, and everybody's starting to understand, like, this Chiefs team, yes, they win games. They have talent, but they have to put it all together. And there is no better opportunity for the Chiefs to rewrite the ship, get the public back on their side, have some more people believe in them than on prime time, Sunday Night Football, going out there and absolutely mopping the floor with the Chargers. This is their opportunity to go against a team that is banged up, missing their main identity, and go out there and really handle business in front of the whole entire world, because we know we've been watching the Chiefs and they've been squeaking by these wins. They should have lost this week. They should have lost last week, blah, 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 blah. This is a chance for Patrick Mahomes just go out there, throw for 340 yards, 4 touchdowns, and just say, okay, guys, get off my dick. We're here. We're going to win. It's all good. And it's a divisional matchup. As I said earlier, the Chiefs dominate their division. I don't expect that to stop. I expect them to win this game. I've got this number at 6. We're getting at 4.5 in the contest. I think you can actually get that at 3.5 and 4 on the major books right now. I'm all over the Chiefs, Donnell.
All right, yeah, bro. And if you guys, and if for any of you guys, college fanatics, if you guys for some reason wanted to dream up a matchup with Michigan versus the Chiefs, this is really what you're about to get right now. This is literally Michigan versus the Chiefs, and I think, but like you said, what was the biggest catalyst for Michigan when they won the national championship under Jim Harbaugh? Their running game, Blake Corum, the star back. J.K. Dobbins was that star back. J.K. Dobbins is not there. Okay, so that's in and out the way. And I know I gave credit to Gus Edwards last week. The only reason why I did that is because other than fucking Lad McConkey, that's the only motherfucker that had over 30 yards. So it has literally been a struggle bus all last week. The defense came up clutch against the Falcons, but I can tell you this now: you're now paying Patrick Mahomes. You're not playing Kirk Cousins, the pumpkin. So. You got that. You got that aspect going for you. The offense last week for the Chargers, like I brought up, had 10 total first downs last week. And if you're telling me you did that against the Chiefs and you only had 10 first downs, I'm letting you right now the spread would have been 15, 16. All right. They're another team that takes advantage of all turnovers and opportunities. Sorry, I had a little mumble there. And like I said, without the main identity, what are the Chargers? We seen it last week. I feel like they're sitting ducks. They only have one receiver, literally just one receiver, and the other receiver just has bricks for hands. I don't know why he just can't catch a ball, but he can't catch a ball to save his life. I mean, he caught 2, but theoretically, you know what I'm saying. It's just, I feel like this is just a bad matchup for the Chargers right now in this situation after coming out there a nice defensive win like that. I feel like the Chiefs now are just going to take advantage of being at home and just smack dabbing the divisional rival at 4.5. It's not too big, but it's also, I think it's right at that realm.
Yeah, I think it's a get right spot. I think they really need to just show the world, like, hey, we can win these games. We can win these games pretty, just as we can win them ugly. So I will say this as a prop. I mean, we don't generally give out props on the show, but I just think there's too much value on this, and I'm kind of going to throw you guys a bone here because the line is going to change. There's 2 books right now that have Gus Edwards rushing attempts at 9.5. Like, that doesn't even make sense to me. It doesn't even make sense to me because 9.5, the Chargers are going to have to run the ball to even sustain drives, and there's no J.K. Dobbins, so I can't fathom that. I have Gus Edwards down for at least 13 rushing attempts at least, and you can get it 9.5 at two different books right now. I jump all over that. So I'm gonna throw you guys a bone. If it doesn't hit, that's on me. But yeah, that's our 5 picks of the week. We've got the Vikings -4.5, Browns +6.5, Dolphins -6.5, Bears +3.5, Chiefs -4.5. Wow, this was a longer episode. We had a lot to talk about. Dino, obviously, he and I haven't been able to discuss as much, so you kind of got some of this raw back and forth that we kind of do behind the scenes. But obviously, with everything going on, we kind of had to, make it amends here. So those are 5 picks of the week for the Week 14 contest. We are currently, I think, 2 games over 500. I'll have to double check that. I'll let you guys know on the next episode. Our Thursday night football episode, I usually say that we will see you guys then. However, I am not sure the circumstances of that. So stay tuned. Follow us on X at @shredthespread_. We will keep you up to date there. So if you want to figure out if we're having an episode or not, I would check there before. But any last words for the listeners before we get out of here, Dino?
Same message as always, knuckleheads. This is the season of giving. So how about you just give us a follow? That's all we asked for this year for Christmas. So give us a follow at @shredthespread_ on X, and give me a follow as well at Dyneezy, DYNEEZY. We'll continue giving you guys the best picks we got as long as you guys just give us a follow. That's all we ask.
Yeah, we're gonna continue to work hard. We're gonna steer the ship. We're in the right direction now. We just gotta keep the sail straight. We like Dino and I, again, when we can kind of like cruise through these picks, we agree on basically all these. We didn't have to drag each other from the other side. So you're getting our head-to-head picks, and we agree on all of these. So hopefully we can stay hot in the contest. Hopefully we can stay hot, keep making some money. Like we said earlier, stay tuned on X to see about our Thursday night episode. But regardless, we will be back at worst case next Friday for another episode of our best bets. Thanks again for listening to this episode of the Shred the Spread podcast. And until next episode, we'll see you.
Peace.